everybody. Welcome to That's Good Stuff, our show where we review pop culture's newest releases. And this week that meant Gladiator II, the Ridley Scott follow up to a movie called Gladiator 1. 1. No, I'm just kidding. Just Gladiator. So, Gladiator 2 is related to Gladiator 1 because I'll go spoiler for you first and then we'll tell you why. So it follows Lucius, right? And he is living in pretty much the last free town in the Empire of Rome, somewhere in like Northern Africa, I think they say. And he's there with his wife. But then old Pedro Pascal comes a knocking. What do you guys
Taking
remember?
women left and right.
You guys remember anyone's names in it? I think it's like
I
Acrisius
have
or
no
something like
idea.
that.
There's no way.
So
I kept thinking we there's too much Pokemon right now. I was thinking Articuno. It's like it started with an A. Articuno. That's what he is now.
Acacius. So
Acacius. Close.
he comes a knocking, and Lucius's wife is killed, and he is taken into slavery. Yes, she gets arrowed. And she was the Legolas on the wall, but she got shot up.
Didn't surf on a shield. That was her problem.
So he gets sold into slavery and taken to potentially be a gladiator in the Colosseums. And we find out that Denzel Washington's character, who I don't remember. I always want to say Calculon or something like that.
Sounds like an X-Men villain
Didn't
or
it
something.
start with an M or Mercurus or something?
Yeah, Macrinus. So he owns a stable of gladiators. He's pretty good at that. He was like the Pokemon trainer of his day. And he sees something promising in young Lucius. So he buys him and they train him. And Lucius just wants revenge on Pedro Pascal for killing his wife. So that's what's motivating him. And meanwhile, we find out that, there might be a little bit more story to Lucius's backstory, something pretty important. So his fight goes from revenge to something bigger and grander as we find out that the people of Rome aren't too happy with the twin emperors. One of them played by Eddie from Stranger Things, and the other one I don't know. And he has a monkey too. So yeah, so that's kind of the spoiler-free part. Yeah, of course, there's fighting in the Colosseum that goes on, and now we'll get into spoilers for you guys. So first, I guess I'll give my thoughts real fast. This movie was very okay. I was okay with it. Um, it the fights were the monkey fight and the gladiator fights, they were all pretty fun. I mean, the CG was terrible, but it still was pretty fun. Um, the biggest problem I have with this movie is that it's got Gladiator 1 envy. I mean, there was that joke going into this movie about like, hey, where's Russell Crowe? Well, he is in this movie. He's in this movie too much. Because the whole time the movie's like, hey, remember Gladiator, how you guys loved it and everything? Well, we're connected to that story. I kind of really wish that they hadn't connected the two stories and that this was just a different gladiator fighting in a different gladiator movie. Because I think the connection they try to make just was its weakest point. So those were my thoughts. Jared, you saw it right next to me. What did you think of Gladiator 2?
I thought it was very okay too. I didn't. I was entertained. I was entertained. Um, at first, I kind of hated it because the monkeys. I was like, man, that looks terrible. And like the whole time I was watching it, I was like, man, if Hollywood really needs to figure out how to use like real animals in a humane way, or just not have them in the movies, because I can't stand any more CG animals.
Yeah.
They look terrible. Um, but was twin emperors a real thing? Did that actually happen in history? Because
They weren't twins, but they were like brothers.
that seems like that wouldn't fly. It's like well, you got to choose the older one. Like even lions, they were like, oh yeah, the older one is the king. Like, so that was confusing. That dude, the younger emperor, I was like, is that Ed Sheeran the whole time? Because
With a gold tooth.
but yeah, I enjoyed it. I liked Pedro in it, and who was the main dude? Was he from anything?
Paul Mescal. It's from something called Normal People.
Normal people.
That's all I know it from.
I like that scene where they have the kind of nautical battle in the Coliseum. I was like, man, that must have been a pain in the butt to fill up that Coliseum.
I like the first one where that dude was on the rhino.
Oh yeah, he was cool.
Like, that looked pretty cool.
I didn't really. There was a lot of, I guess, fan service to the first one, but it didn't bug me until they were like really like. Remember when he touched that wheat? You remember that? Keep touching the wheat. I was like, yes, I remember that. I remember that scene.
Or like whenever he freaking they're looking at the it's I'm pretty sure they're looking at his breastplate or something like that, and he's talking about the two horses, whatever the heck, and naming him. It's like, just have him touch the breastplate, and then fans will be able to attach that. You don't have to spoon feed all these freaking. Remember, it's like literally we're seeing the scene. We know who it is. It's a very popular
Whose
movie.
name is scratched out on the wall.
Oh, I know.
She's like, I like that character a lot. The doctor.
Oh yeah, I did like him.
Coliseum doctor. I thought he was really cool. And then the only other thing that stood out was the beginning, like animation, I guess. It was kind of like, kind of rotoscope, but like painting.
No, I forgot about that.
That was pretty cool. It didn't amount to much in this. It was just like scenes.
Again, it's just to show, Russell Crowe again.
But yeah, I didn't hate it. It was entertaining for what it was. I wasn't expecting much though. It was like you guys probably were, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of went in with higher hopes, maybe not expectations, but I did not think this movie was very good at all. I feel like it just feels like a very rough draft all around. Visually, it was a rough draft. I don't feel like it was shot very well. The characters, the only good character in my opinion, I did like the Doctor. He was interesting, but there wasn't much to him. But the only good character was Pedro Pascal's character to me. He was the only one I found interesting. His like little dynamic of dealing with the arm, trying to build this resistance while also playing the part of the general. And like, I mean, I don't really think the performances were bad. I just thought the characters were bad. Like the mom or the wife of Pedro Pascal. It's like, this is supposed to be a woman that's been in the Roman, council, a part of all this for so long. She should be a very strong woman. It's like the scene where she gets rid of the kid. She should not have been crying. She should have been like visibly like holding it back to be strong for her son. And then whenever she goes to visit him in the cell, she should not have been crying. She should have been visibly being strong. And then whenever she went back to Pedro, that's when she should have cried. It would have been like, that's you that would have built that relationship. Like, oh, she's vulnerable around him, but she puts this face up in this wall to be strong for her son and for Rome. But the whole time it's just like crybaby woman. The whole time. I was like, this woman is not presenting herself as a strong, like what that character should be in the position she's in and making these hard decisions. It was just like, I'm going to cry at this. I'm going to cry at that. Well, I was like, I could not stand her character in this movie. The main character, I couldn't tell who I was going to get scene by scene. Like there are some scenes where he's the goofy, charming hero, and then there's some scenes where he's Russell Crowe.
Well, he's very bipolar in the movie. Like,
yeah, and I'm like,
it was weird. Like he'd be like, "Ha!" And I was like,
and Denzel's like, "Oh, I see the anger and fury in you." And the next scene, they're laughing and giggling and telling stories. I'm like Russell Crowe. That's the character I expected, was the stoic, serious through the whole time. Like he doesn't make jokes. He's not palling up with his friends. There's so many inconsistencies with me. Like one just came to mind whenever he's they have that rowing scene where they're preparing to row the boats. They're outside working together as a team, and then like the little head honcho, and I guess they like halfway through the movie decided to make that dude that he punched in the beginning or fought with the not braces or whatever. They like made him a villain halfway through, but it didn't seem like he was a villain until that point. But he like makes him work on the boat, and he's like, "You're gonna learn to be with your team. You can't do everything by yourself." And I was like, this whole movie, he's been very much like a coach and a leader to his
Yeah.
team. He never acted like I'm gonna do this alone. Like he's like, hold the line, stay together, roll together, blah blah blah. And then like they go to the boat scene and they work together as they had done the entire movie. Like there was no change there. Nothing led to that. I was like, what are you trying to put through there? The first scene, just small things like we'll take the first scene and then the last fight scene, heading no ball. We have his wife, she's kind of killing people in the beginning. It shows her shoot one guy at the tower, but it doesn't really focus. I didn't realize that was her at the time. And then it's just like randomly she shoots one dude and Pedro's like, kill her. It's like it should have been like she should have been doing more. Like they should have built up to it, but it was just like this random middle of the fight and he turns, kill that single archer on the wall looking at us right now. It was so pointed and not believable. Like the tension wasn't there at all. I was like, that's goofy. And then for it goes directly in the center of the chest. It's like, this is a Gladiator movie. This isn't like some Disney movie where,
Didn't she get like shot and she fell this way? But then they find her in the water. It's like, did she get shot all the way to the water?
No idea. I have no idea. But then the other scene like that just fails to build up tension is the last scene. He gets this plan, he's going to unlock all the gates, or all the gladiators that have come out to help him, but no one knows this. Oh, and I have to complain about this scene in another way too, but we'll get to that after. And so you expect the tension building moment where he goes out and he starts fighting people, and he's obviously going to like try and not even try and hold his own, but like he starts getting surrounded by all the soldiers, and there's no like tension or even a line of like, what are you going to do? Like you're all on your own. And then they come out. They just come out with no pomp and circumstance, just like they encircle him and then they come out, but there's no tension built up. There's no relief. There's no satisfaction when you see, oh, his guys are here to help him out. I wasn't excited at all. I was like, they're going to the door. Okay. And then also going to the fight before that with freaking Pedro Pascal. It's like, just not thought through. Oh, one more thing I'm going to mention real fast because it's fast is the monkey scene where he bites the monkey. One, that didn't lead anywhere. They hooted and hollered at him during lunch. That was it. But
he's the monkey eater.
another thing of me saying is the first draft, he bit the monkey, has blood all down his chin. The end of the fight happens. He looks at his bro on the ground that got bit in the neck and didn't do anything about it. And his face is completely clean. There's no blood whatsoever. And I was like, how do you miss that? This is Gladiator 2. This is not a junior production. Like you can't.
He went like this.
It's just perfectly clean. Nothing on there whatsoever. I was like, ridiculous. And then the other thing that just didn't pay off, that I'm like, you have this perfectly, like the conflict with Pedro's character and the main character could have been so strong. Like it had that kind of build of, oh, he's mad at him, this is gonna happen. And then they waste it so badly where the two emperors find out that Pedro's, a villain, whatever, or not a villain, a hero,
a traitor.
A traitor. And they're like, well, how are we gotta execute him? And Denzel's like, no, why don't we? And Denzel knows in his head, he knows Lucius wants to kill him. Lucius told him that. So it's like all a simple line would have been like, we just put him in the arena with him because he has a grudge against him. But he just says, oh, we'll just put him in the arena. Like you're not building the tension and letting people know, hey, let's trick them, because you could keep it from. I have to remember how exactly I was thinking of that through. Try and keep the knowledge away from Lucius that he was a traitor, and just try and keep that idea in his. Because I'm guessing, because the flip there was so ridiculous how he goes out there and he's just like, I liked your mom and your dad. Oh, okay, I'm gonna kneel. But it's like have a scene establishing some sort of suppression of information, so he doesn't know that he's being put as a traitor. He's just being put out there to fight him, and then have that conflict build there, because then that builds so much tension of both of them actually good guys, but neither of them knows it. And like they waste it so badly. Like have Denzel say, let's put him out there because what's his face wants to kill him. That'd be a great way to build that fight, whatever. But I don't know. There's just so much wasted potential in this movie. I feel like this movie had good ideas, but every time I was like, oh, okay, that fell flat. That fell flat. That fell flat. That was pointless. That character's dumb. That character's inconsistent. And
How
then
did you feel about? Oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead.
How did you feel about Denzel's character?
I thought he was interesting, but it was also the another flip flop in the thing where half the time I
Yeah.
feel like I'm watching a Gladiator movie. The second half, I feel like I'm watching a
Remember
theater
the
play.
Titans? Oh
Just
yeah,
a theater play. Like it was so goofy and showy,
yeah.
and then it would get serious, and then
Yeah, he
There was a lot of
gets
showboaty or like really hammy
yeah,
acting, especially the emperors. They would really ham it up. It felt like a lot of the Senate people would ham it up.
yeah.
And the gladiators will keep it like kind of down to earth, but the Senate people were like, "Oh, grapes!"
Like who's
Denzel. He looked like he was just having a goofy time
Yeah.
on set. But his character just looks like he flips the villain. Like
Yeah, there was no.
he,
Yeah.
he should be just like the subtle plan everything, do everything in the background. But by the end, he's like out there fighting the guy, and I'm like, why, Denzel? You're old. You can't be fighting this guy out there.
That last scene was when I hit that, I was like, the only word I have for this entire ending is silly. The fact that those two ride off, no one stops them. They both ride off. They end up between two armies, and then they just fight. And then he gives a little speech, and they go, "Yeah!" I was like, "This is that part was legit." Like the rest, I was like, "This isn't very good. I don't think it's bad." Like I
Yeah.
would say it was. I wasn't bored, but I don't think it was good. But that ending was bad. It was stupid and silly. I was like, "What are we doing?"
I was like, the guy, the gladiator, he's like just riding through the guard, the
Yeah.
Praetorian guard, and no one's like, "Hey, should we stop this guy or something?"
I laughed out loud. It wasn't even like supposed to be funny, but the doctor, when he's writing to go to the general of that army, he like pushes this random dude
Oh
like
yeah.
almost to his butt. He's just like, oh,
What an utterly useless addition. They have him riding
Yeah.
off under that archway. That's all you need. You don't need
Yeah.
like who on earth is going to let this random rider ride up to the general of your army? No one stops him. No one pulls a sword on him. They just stand there and watch him, and he pushes. Yeah, you're like he pushes people out of the way like he's in charge. Like, well, you think these people are going to save Rome? Because they can't stop one man on a horse. What do you like? It was the stupidest. It's like cut it there, and then you get the idea. You understand he made it because they're going to come back. Like that's why I said this is such a rough draft of everything. Nothing was.
That's kind
cut.
of
It
what
was
they
so
do
weird.
in the first one, right? Because Russell Crowe's like, "Hey, this guy's waiting for me
It's been
out
so
there. Go
long.
get him," and then they come all.
I
You
don't
next
remember it.
time you see him.
Oh man. The
I don't.
last question I had was about the monkey. Was the
Oh, yeah.
monkey introduced any time before halfway through the movie?
I don't think
Because
so.
it was
When
just
we first saw the emperor, I think it was around. I
was
don't
because I didn't notice the monkey until the monkey was called out.
because it would always perch on like on his shoulder, but they didn't call it by name like later.
Because then it seemed like it was a thing. Like, oh, we should know who Bobo is. And I'm like, I don't know who Bobo is. Do I care about Bobo? He's like, no, he has Bobo. I'm like,
I
okay.
cared about Bobo
Apparently
in
that's
a little
thing.
dress. I don't know a lot about like antique swords or whatever, like, but everyone seemed to have gladiator swords, you know, the ones without like the hilt, but it's just kind of a blade. But freaking Maximus has like an anime sword. This is like this big old triangle thing. I was like, dang, what? Why does he have such a cool sword and everyone else the standard issue?
And then I was like, that should be dull as heck. I mean,
Yeah.
Sitting there a little too long.
And then he kills that guy with the wooden sword.
Oh yeah, that was
Gives
pretty.
us that line about doesn't matter. It just has a point.
If it's wood or steel, a point is a point. I was like, silly. Again, silly. This shouldn't be silly, but it's goofy as heck. What are we? And like I said, they made that guy a villain out of nowhere. Like,
Yeah, he wasn't like overly mean to him.
no, it was just the boat scene was like the seemed like they wanted to twist it, and then he hated him at the end. I'm like, why do you hate this man? I feel like he's been fine.
I thought they would have had like some respect for each other, but
Yeah.
no,
He fought him
I
to
thought
get
they were
over
kind
it.
of friends, but then
Yeah.
he's like,
You don't like Bobo? I'm gonna kill you. I
so
don't know.
Jared brought up Pedro because I had a kind of strange reaction to Pedro in this movie because when he's alive, I'm like, I don't really get the point of Pedro here. I don't. I mean, I don't think his performance was great or anything. But then once he died, I'm like, I miss Pedro. I just,
He's our hero.
yeah, it's like he would have been a good part for like the ending, but no, he died, and I didn't like once he died. I kind of like lost interest in the movie. I didn't really
well,
care
like
about the emperors or anything.
watching the trailer, I thought that would be the last scene is them fighting because
Yeah,
that's how it's like built up. And then he died. I was like, oh, they still have like an hour left. What are they gonna do?
I built a little
yeah,
way too much, but I can I do theater experiences really fast?
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, well, firstly, don't ever trust Cinemark's recommended seating based on your previous purchases.
Oh yeah,
That's a thing.
yeah.
Apparently,
It tries to get you to buy the same seats
yeah,
every time.
I opened it and I was like, I don't ever remember sitting in row C, but it was pretty full all the way back. There were a couple in D, which I wish I had gotten because it was a little too close. But I was like, if they're saying I've sat there before because it was one of the more narrow theaters that are long, I was like, sure, I'll go. So, firstly, way too close. And then I should have brought this up when we were talking about the beginning scene, but got this black couple behind me, and we get to the point where it's the very beginning of the movie, and Lucius is sitting in his little field doing the callbacks to all the Gladiator, and then it goes to his wife, and she has her tattoo, and he goes, this black guy behind me goes, that woman has a goatee. And his wife goes, what'd you say? He's like, she got a goatee. Like, what? You're like, look at it. And it goes back. He never was like, oh, that's not a goatee. He just accepted the fact that it was a goatee. This poor woman was lost 90% of the movie. Just like, who is that again? What is this? So whenever after Pedro goes, kill that woman, and then they shoot her down, and then it goes to the point where Lucius goes out to the water and cries and everything gets all sad. She goes, didn't he just call to kill her? No, different character.
All those white people look the same.
It was a very entertaining backseat commentary I got between the two, except for he was like hacking like he had something caught in his throat every 20 minutes. It wasn't very often, but it sounded very painful. I was like, you okay, buddy? But yeah, the goatee thing killed me though. He's like, she got a goatee, and I was like, my bucket of popcorn. It was great though.
Dude, when we went, it was super packed.
It was
Yeah.
packed, yeah. I went to
Did you go to
16 as well.
Tinseltown?
No, I went to 16.
Oh, okay. So did we. Because Tinseltown, they all had like tiny theater. I didn't even know they had like theaters with like 2 rows or something. I was like,
gosh.
I didn't even know they had those. So we
The-
didn't get tickets there. But
The concession was
Oh,
constantly
yeah.
packed. It never got any like it never went down because I went later because I was like, I kind of want popcorn. It smells delicious. But it was worse when we
I
went
was
back. I was
thirsty
like, nope.
as heck. And I was going to get one on the way in, and I couldn't because it was just 3 lines deep.
Yeah, I got there a little early, and so I was going to ask who you guys had as cashiers because there's always that older lady that's at 16, and then there's a couple of younger people there, and so there, you have the 3-line decision. Which one's going to go the fastest? I chose the utterly
Worse.
wrong one. Get up to the front. This older lady's like, next. Okay, what do you got? Da, 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 boom, boom, boom. Thank you. Boom, boom, boom. Out. Boom. Next. Da, 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 boom, 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 boom. And the girl in front of me, I was like, what is taking so long? Like, it was just like, they go through 4 people by the time we get through 1. I get up there, and this guy had ordered a ton of food prior to me, which fair enough. But, they have their helpers that they continue to get the food, get it over, get ready at the waiting station while they can continue to take the next order. Especially if it's like popcorn drink, which is what I'm going to get. And she's over there forever helping them out. Then she kind of comes back to the cash register, then continues on the other way and grabs something else, then goes back over there, then comes back to the cash register and goes. I just kind of sat there. She goes, "Can I get you?" I was like, Do you not see the 50 people behind me? Are you kidding me? So
And she's like, "Do you not see my day?"
you could tell she was like fishing for pity or something. I was like, I have zero pity. You are at work. You are at work and there are people awaiting. So
and I require
I was
popcorn.
like, popcorn and a soda, please. Thank you. Goodbye.
It's gonna ask you if you want a tip on there.
It's like that woman needs to be,
That's him.
I don't know, a different positions. You need a ticket or so she can just scan the tickets and move on. But yeah, horrible.
Yeah. We got to the end of the movie, and some lady comes like down the aisle at the very end of the movie. And I'm like, dang it, this is it.
Do they do tips at the theater?
I've never
I
seen it.
don't think so.
Okay, that's getting crazy at places.
Maybe on the app.
Mm.
Can't remember. Oh well, that was our Gladiator II experience. So let us know how it went for you. Like, subscribe, and notify yourself for even more good stuff. And we will see you next time. Bye.